Hello guys, I hope you guys are doing good. This light is too bright, but it's not going to be for so long, so I'll bear. The purpose of this video, today evening I had some kind of a bad time, so I'm using this video as a journal of what happened and how I felt about it and what I plan to do about it moving forward. So to begin with, what happened, I got randomly interviewed by one of the departmental managers at my workplace, and I didn't do so well in that random interview. And to give context, I am currently doing a management training program at a certain company. I started in March, 23rd March, I think, yeah. So I have been here for about 3 to 4 months, because today is, I think, 11th of July. Yeah, 4 months around. So it's a manufacturing company. I'm there as a mechanical engineering trainee. So we were working on a certain pump. That was around 8 p.m. One of the departmental managers phoned me there. He started off by telling me to take note of the nameplates of all the pumps that were close to the pump that we were working on, and also the nameplate of the pump we were working on. And he told me I can do it later, so I didn't start off doing it immediately. Then after about 15 minutes, he came back. He asked me what's the capacity of a certain pump. He pointed at a certain pump. I had not yet taken note, so I went there, I checked the capacity, I told it to him. I was like, sir, it is 90 meters cubed per hour. He asked me what's the head. Told him it's 50 meters. I checked it and told him. He asked me what's the RPM. Checked it, told him. He asked me the power rating. I checked it, I told him. Then he like signaled for me to move out with him. So the pump was in a certain room, so he moved out of the room. Now when I got out of the room, he started asking me the types of the different components that are associated in the system. He asked me the types of impellers. He first asked me the types of impellers. I blanked on that. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I'm basically saying like I failed, like I was fidgeting. I didn't have them off head. If anything, I didn't know them. So I like failed those, and you know what that could do to you. So now after having realized I failed, now I was like, of all the things he could have asked, why this? Because like I have many other things that I have learned, but it just happened that coincidentally types of impellers I've not yet gone deep into those. So when he realized I had failed that, he tried to ask something else. He asked me the types of pumps. Luckily, when he stated that question, someone else called him, so he first moved away for some time, so I had like time to think. So I remembered there are positive displacement pumps, and then there is another type which I think is, which at the time I thought is negative displacement, but I was not sure about the answer. Anyway, I knew there were different subtypes under the two types. So when he got back, I told him there are positive displacement pumps, and then under positive displacement we have centrifugal pumps, and we have rotary pumps. Yeah, that's what I said actually. I was in my head trying to remember if that's the exact thing that happened. But yeah, I told him under positive displacement we have centrifugal, which is a wrong thing. Like, that's wrong. So when he came, anyway, to not go so much into the detail, I didn't do well even on the types of pumps. So he asked me about the types of valves. He was pointing at valves that were there, and he would be like, what type of valve is this? What type of... Anyway, for the valves he pointed at, luckily I passed all those. Then he asked me what other types are there. So I told him, but then missed out on some. And then he reminded me which other ones I have not mentioned. Then he asked me the types of bearings, and I think with the bearings we also did good there somehow. But okay, in as far as that interview went, I think in his head he thinks of me as, based on the interview, he thinks of me as a gambler, like someone who has small bits of information, and who is a bit green about stuff. And this is a place I've been at for 3.5 months, and the types of things he was asking are basic, the things you're supposed to start with. And actually all along I thought I understand these things. I don't know if it was anxiety, if it was the fact that it has been some time between now when he asked and when I last learned them, because I think I learned the things in the first 3 weeks of the training, and it had since then I've been learning other things that I've not been talking about those things. So I think maybe also that, and the anxiety. Anyway, the feeling I got from him, at the end, he's confident that with time I'm going to learn these things. I will pick up, but inside me I still have that thing of, man, things didn't go in the best way they could have gone. Anyway, that's not the only reason why I called the evening a bad one. The other thing is that pump that we were working on, time came when I had to go and work on the shift report, and at the time the pump had not yet started working. So I just moved. When I reached the office where I'm supposed to work on the shift report, the shift manager, who I directly report to, asked me, he didn't even ask, it's me who told him where I have been, because he didn't know that I had gone to help the people who were working on the other pump. So I was like, sir, I have been working with the other people. We did this and this. Then I explained to him that as by the time I left, the thing had not yet started working, and they were starting to gland pack. So towards the end of the shift, the shift manager, is supposed to give a report to the big managers. Now when he was giving that report, they happened to ask him to give them an update of how far with the works on that pump. So it so happened that I had given him the info, but the info I had given him was up to when I left, of which by the time I left they were starting to do gland packing. I don't think I should explain what gland packing is, but basically they were trying to see if gland packing is going to make the thing work. So that's what he told the managers on phone. And I think when he said that, they told him that no, gland packing is not what is currently happening. Like they told him, the report you're giving us is wrong. So when he got off the phone, he started telling, he was like putting the blame on me for having given him a wrong report, which was not the case. What happened is I told him the report up to when I stopped being at the place where the pump was being worked on. So when I left, the time between me leaving and him giving this report to the managers is about 50 minutes. So it's very possible that, which I think is what happened when I left, these guys gland packed, ran the pump, realized it's not working, then they started to look for like other solutions to the problem. So by the time he gave the report, gland packing is not what was happening. Something else was happening. And that's what they told him, that no, these guys are not gland packing, they are doing something else. But the way he was mentioning it, he was making it seem like I told lies. And anyway, whenever someone blames me for something, I try as much as I can not to be defensive. So I try to not explain myself, especially because there were like some other people in that office. So I tried not to be defensive. I just smiled and kept quiet. Then, now what caused the issues is, as we were, after he had given the report, he was like, let me go to the place where they're working on the pump and find out what is actually happening. And in my head I was like, okay, now I guess I have to do what? Like to go with him there. Even if our shift is done, but like since he's taking an initiative to go and find out what is happening before he goes home, then I should like go with him. So as I was going with him, as a way of creating conversation, I started explaining to him that the report I gave him was not a lie. It's just what I saw before I left. And I think the wording I used, maybe, I don't know what it is, but like after I 4 sentences into my explanation, I realized this guy is not having it. You get, like, he's judging me as someone who is explaining, like trying to defend a lie. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. That's in my head. I just kept quiet. I stopped explaining myself. We had a weird 1 minute walk. Like me not talking, having stopped explaining myself, him having not responded anything. Like we just kept on walking silently. We reached the place where they are working on the pump. Luckily, by the time we were reaching, the pump started working. So they had figured out what the problem is. So he went and talked to some guys. I also talked to some other guys, asking what was the actual problem. They explained to me it's actually the impeller, which was kinda loose. So they tightened and the thing worked. But then, those 2 things that I've said so far, not the only things why I call this evening a bad one, like the evening of today, because it's now night. from there, from having having realized the pump has worked, to my place where I currently am, it's like a 20-minute ride. On that journey from there to here, I was like having very many thoughts. I was first of all processing the bad feeling of having been blamed, or like felt blamed for having told a lie when what I said wasn't a lie. Okay, I was processing being misunderstood. Then I realized in between that processing of that feeling that I am overfeeling something that is very basic. I mean, who cares if I'm misunderstood or not? So I remembered this thing of attaching your self-worth to what other people think about you. So I was like, why am I doing this? Why is my brain doing this? Why am I attaching my self-worth? Why am I feeling so bad about myself because of a verdict someone else has had about me? My immediate supervisor thinking that I gave a bad report, or I told a lie or something. Why should that bother me for like a 20-minute ride? I was like, fuck, why am I this sensitive? Why am I this immature? Why can't I just learn to not give a fuck about such things? So that realization of over expecting people to think good things about me, and overreacting internally when I realize people actually think a negative about me, and realizing that that's an indicator that I attach my self-worth to other people's verdict of me. That realization fucked me up. Fucked me up to the point where I felt like using something to help with the thoughts. I started off thinking that maybe when I reach home I should like drink something, like alcohol. I was like, fuck that. I said, maybe should I try cigarettes? I see like people, should I like try and see if they could help? I see like people doing cigars every time, like overthinking. Some people, anyway, not all people. I was like, also no, fuck that. So I was like, let me just reach home and process my bad mood. And on reaching here, I was like, you know what? Let me just vent into a camera. And I think going forward, what I'm going to try and do about it is to make research and see if there is a way, if there are like habits I can build to help me fight that. First of all, to fight the anxiety that makes me forget things that I know when I'm asked about the things by my superiors. Secondly, to work on the feedback I got, which is that maybe I'm not good at reporting situations. Maybe the better thing to do would have been to explain to my manager that I left when they are going to Gland Park, but no one is sure that is the solution. Me myself, I don't think it will work. So when they are done Gland Parking and it doesn't work, maybe they will now try to find what else could be the problem. So that was his giving the report. I think maybe the mistake was that when he gave the report, he mentioned Gland Parking as if he's sure that that's what they are still doing, and after doing it, the thing will work. I don't know. Yeah, I think I have to work on my anxiety, work on my report giving, like explanation of situations, and what else? and work on the fact that, work on my metrics of my self-worth. Like, stop attaching it to other people's judgments of me. I hope that works out. Otherwise, bye guys. Bye.